Hello and welcome to another Dad Strength podcast. I am your host, Richie. Today we're going to be talking about feeding your baby. When the baby is born, one of the first things you're going to need to do is feed the baby. As a dad, you're not really going to have anything to do in this aspect of your child's life. You're going to have to play the support card and help out. Now, I may have mentioned breastfeeding in earlier episodes, but today we are going to talk about the initial feeding. Now, whenever the baby's born, you're going to have it in the hospital with you. There's going to be someone come in that is a lactation consultant. Lactation is whenever your partner's breasts create milk for the baby to eat. Now, most of the time, this milk is going to be all your baby needs to survive. As long as your partner's eating healthy and everything like that, and there are no problems. If there are problems getting enough of a supply for the child, for your baby, do not worry about it and try not to have your partner stress out. There's going to be nothing you can really do but provide your support here. So the rest of the feedings come down to if you are going to breastfeed or if you are going to use formula. I don't want to say a bottle because you can also pump and give the baby breast milk from a bottle. It doesn't have to be formula in the bottle. So that's a discussion that you and your partner are going to have. And it's basically what is your partner's feelings on that. It is their call. As a dad, as a male, you do not have the physical capabilities to provide milk for your baby. And no matter how much you may want your partner to breastfeed, they might not want to, they might not be able to. So this is where you're going to have to kind of pull back and just offer your support. There are benefits to breastfeeding your baby. If you don't know, there have been links to say that babies who are breastfed get more nutrients. They could be healthier, more intelligent. Do your own research on that, but it's nature's way of providing your child with food. And in conjunction with that, you also have the cost factor. Buying formula is expensive. So if you do go the breastfeeding route, you will save money. You might have to buy a pump, depending on if your partner is going to be a stay-at-home mom or not. And a lot of times, you might not even have to pay that. We got ours paid for through the insurance. So call your insurance company and see what they can offer you. A lot of insurance companies give support financially to first-time parents. And that is your health insurance, not some other kind of insurance you may have. So call your health insurance, ask what they have, what they can provide if you get anything from them. So whenever you have your breastfeedings, the first thing you're going to need is the lactation consultant is going to go through all of the ways you can support your partner whenever she's breastfeeding. And a lot of that is just physically. You're not going to be able to hold the baby. Your partner's going to have to become comfortable holding the baby, getting into a routine. If they are breastfeeding, you have to make the decision, are you going to breastfeed through the night? And this is where a dad can come in. They can come in and take bottles. If the mother pumps, that you can come in and take a bottle out of the fridge and feed it to the baby. That way, the mother can get some well-needed sleep and she doesn't have to wake up on the baby's schedule. That's a discussion you're going to have with your partner. It may be easier for her just to get up and feed the baby whenever the baby cries. There is a link where if a mother hears the baby crying, she may start to produce milk. You might see milk leak from her nipples. You may see milk squirt from her nipples. So that's something that you're going to see in this area and something to be supportive of. So it might just be easier for her to get up and feed the baby in the middle of the night. That's what we did. It also gave me a way to sleep. So whenever I went to work, I wasn't as tired. I know others who have had success rotating. Some nights the mother would stay up and feed the baby. Once you get enough of a supply build up, she might wake up just to pump, and she's going to have to if she's not feeding the baby. So it might be easier for her, instead of getting up to pump, then she can just breastfeed the baby in the middle of the night. You as the dad, take that. It's a luxury. You get to sleep all night. You might have someone, though, who might not have to pump or pump as often. So your mother of the child might want to sleep and just get up and pump and have you feed the bottle. So it's a discussion you're going to have. Whatever works for you might not work for your friends, might not work for other members of your family. You'll get a lot of people giving you feedback or suggestions, and that's where you just want to nod your head, be supportive, say thank you for your opinion. Actually, that probably, you want to say thank you for the advice. We really appreciate it, and just try to be nice and supportive, because anyone that's going to help out your family is going to be good, and you don't want to kind of turn other people off if they're offering their advice. So back to the breastfeeding aspect. The physicality of the act of breastfeeding is when the mother will come home and she's going to have to take her breast out of her shirt. So they're going to have to buy clothes that are comfortable for her. And that's something that she's going to have to pick out. You can kind of buy things, but in this area, it's best not to try to surprise her, because it's all functionality here. They want something that's discreet, comfortable, that they can wear in public if they have to go to a certain place. There might be a shawl that you wear, which is like a breastfeeding like cloak that she throws around her to cover the baby if she's feeding in public. And those are all things that you need to be aware of that I didn't know going in. Just the different clothing types that she's going to have to wear. Now, they might have to wear, if the baby cannot latch on, they may have to wear like a plastic shield. It's called a nipple shield. That's to help the baby get latched. I did see one used, and it was something that I was able to help with, because you have to clean it. So in between feedings, you'd have to clean it. We had to use it at the hospital just because of like trouble latching the first couple of days. So they bring you, it's like a little plastic shield. It goes over the nipple. It helps the baby latch onto the breast to get the milk. Sometimes they don't, most of the time they won't need it. It's only if the baby, just to make sure that they're getting enough milk. And how they decide if they're getting enough milk is they will weigh the baby. So the baby's born, they give you a birth weight. The baby will drop the weight. And then the first couple of days, the baby should gain the weight back up to whatever their birth weight was. Not sure the exact timeline. That's something you can research, and the doctor will tell you anyway. So if the baby's not gaining enough weight fast enough, then they'll decide like, hey, is the baby latching fully whenever they're feeding? And that's where we had to use the nipple shield. And it was the only way that she could latch and stay on, so that we weren't spilling milk everywhere. There's also something called a drip system, and that's where to give like extra milk. So because she wasn't gaining the weight, what they did was they had her pump extra milk, and then it was in a bottle, and then it went like, I don't think it went inside the nipple shield, but it was a plastic drip tube, kind of like an IV that went alongside the nipple shield, so that more milk was going into the baby's mouth, and so that she was able to gain that weight back up. So that's another device which you may see. You might not see it. You might not. Someone in your family or friend circle might talk about it, but that's a drip system. I don't know if it has a more technical name, but those are the two extra breastfeeding equipment pieces that I've seen, and it's just to help the baby gain weight, help breastfeeding. The next thing would be a pump. I already said talk to your insurance, see if they'll pay for a pump. And this is so that you can have extra milk. Your partner's going to have milk produced on a pretty regular schedule. And if the baby is not hungry, it's going to hurt her breasts. So she's going to want to pump it out. They also do a thing called hand expression, where they physically squeeze the breast to get the extra milk to leak out. So you don't really need a pump, but the pump is nice and handy if you are trying to fill up bottles and use them to either feed the baby directly through a bottle or to supplement the breastfeeding. I do know that some people, they had the trouble with the baby latching and breastfeeding was just too hard with them doing work. Maybe they didn't work a regular schedule. So they just pumped full time and then rotated with the dad and the mom giving bottles to the baby. And they still got the benefits of the breast milk. There are timelines to drink the breast milk. You can freeze it so that it stays. You'll have a freezer full of breast milk. We actually donated some of ours. So there is that too for some mothers who aren't maybe producing nutritious enough milk. You can do like a milk swap. There's Facebook groups and other things like that. So if you want to do that and you're don't have a big enough a supply, look into that option too. You can swap with the milk. And then the other option would be the formula. Some people just don't want to do the breast milk. Maybe the milk doesn't come in for the mother, so they have to do formula. I know some people that happened to. So with the formula, you kind of have to read the package just like any other food to prepare. Follow the instructions, put it in a bottle, and then you're going to want to feed the baby. Now, from a bottle perspective, it doesn't matter if it's formula or milk, breast milk. You're going to have, as a dad, a little bit more difficult of a time because the baby's going to be used to being held by the mother. So what I recommend doing is watching her feed a few times and see how she holds the baby. If she's holding the baby a certain way, the baby's going to be comfortable in that position. So you want to try to recreate it on your own when you're feeding with the bottle. It may be tough. You might have to be slumped over. I'm much taller, so I had to kind of hold the baby up next to my chest. So you want to kind of recreate that scenario. They're going to want to feel tight and close to you, but that's something that you want. The baby wants a bond with you, and you want to make the feedings as easy as possible. I always switch the bottle around too to help the milk come out a little bit faster. Now you don't want to do it like when the baby's super young, but once our baby has a girl, so that's what I'm saying. Once the baby starts to grow up, we can shake it around. And as she moved around, I was able to help her get more milk into her mouth, and then the bottle would go down faster. Because one thing that I did notice was that she would get frustrated trying to get milk out if it was coming out too slow. And that was one thing that I didn't care. I figured the faster she wants to eat, the better, because then the less time I have to hold her. But that's up to parent on parent. Sometimes people want to have a slower feeding so their child doesn't get into a habit of overeating. And I could see the benefits of that. I don't know if there's any studies done on it, eating fast or eating slow whenever they're younger. But I figured that's something that as a young child they'll be able to cure if she is eating too fast. So my goal was just to have her feed as much as possible so that she was growing at a healthy rate. And we did see growth come up from that. So whatever you feel comfortable with is you're going to have to read your baby. So some babies will only eat little bits at a time, take a little break, and then you might be feeding on and off pretty much all day. But the good news is, as the baby gets older, the feedings become less and less. So you will have that benefit too. So those are just some tidbits on breastfeeding. I'll probably go into this a little bit more in depth, each topic that I talked about. So thank you for listening. And I am Richie Leahy, your host. You've listened to Dad Strength Podcast.